Hello, welcome to my channel. I took my Lowside up to Cuyuna with me. It was the only bike I brought, so that's what I rode for the weekend. And did some uh, POV footage from my GoPro. I have a new GoPro Hero 11, so I was kind of excited to just try that out. Yeah, I didn't do any other angles. I was just riding with my GoPro on the chesty mount and talking a little bit, kind of like what I usually do. So yeah, check it out, riding the low side. Sweet, riding the low side. I'm on Galloping Goose right now, and I have my brand new GoPro Hero 11, so it'll be cool to see how this footage turns out, because this has a much better sensor in it than the past cameras. And we're in the woods where it's kind of a little bit darker, shaded. So what's interesting is when people see me riding this bike up here in Cuyuna, they immediately are like, how do you ride that thing? And it's interesting because people that haven't ridden single speed, they don't understand it because they've never tried it. But it's a different way of riding, it's a different mindset. So the other thing about this bike is there's no suspension. It's fully rigid, and that's another thing people are like, what? But what I like to say about this bike is it's more pure, and right there you can tell in that little uphill I stand up, power up it right here. And that's what you do on the single speed, is you do a lot more standing, powering up things. And by doing so, you keep your momentum up. And the thing you don't want to get caught in on a single speed is doing a long, slow grind. You always kind of want to keep your momentum up. So on climbs, you actually tend to go faster up the climb than you do on a geared bike, because you don't downshift and spin. You stand up and you power, and you got to go faster and keep your momentum up. So this is a different way of riding, and I really like it. One of the things that's awesome about it is that I don't have to think too much. I just do. When I have gears, you know, I'm always constantly shifting back and forth and trying to get in that ideal gear and everything. And so one of my favorite sayings on single speed is, you're always in the wrong gear. It's just kind of funny. So the other thing is there's no suspension, so all these little like things I pop over and I take control of the bike. I don't just plow through them like a lot of people like to do on full suspension bikes. Is I pull the front wheel up lightly, and I don't necessarily always like pop big power wheelies or anything. I just give it enough pull to get over whatever I need to get over. And I generally will stand through the rougher stuff, so then my arms and legs become my suspension and I'm not sitting on the seat. Here's kind of a fun downhill section. So on downhills, single speeds get a little too spinny to pedal, so you just gotta keep your momentum up, not use your brakes. You can maintain your speed. Whew. So definitely requires some more skill. So another question people will ask is, can you do drops on a fully rigid bike?
Oh, is this the hard one?
Yes. Here's the first small drop. So you just have to be aware that you don't have suspension. Here's the big drop. So I just compress the landing with my body. And then here, take the right side. No problem. So the answer is yes. You can do drops on a single speed or on a rigid bike. Alright, so here I have a tight climbing switchback. I keep my front wheel to the outside, single speed, so I have to stand and power through it, but it's all about keeping my momentum, and by riding my front tire on the outside I'm able to do that. So then I got to continue up this climb, and then I pass Andrea, who's going to be on my YouTube channel. So I talk a lot about tires on my channel, especially recently testing out a few, but my Lowside came with Recon Plus, so they're 2.8 Recons, and when you go to the 2.8 side on Recons, the knobbies get a lot more aggressive, and so the 2.8 Recons are really good. Like, these are my plus tire choice. I can just rail these turns. Now 2.6 Recons I would not trust doing this, but on this plus bike they just grip, and that's why, like, I bought the Recons for my other bikes, the 2.6s, not realizing they weren't going to have the same level of grip as the plus ones. So on the 2.8 tires, you can see how much more aggressive the side knobs are, but on the 2.6s they're way mellower than this, so the 2.6 Recons don't work nearly as good as these do. So it's kind of impressive that just going a size up is that much better. Colors are starting to turn. But this section is so fun and flowy. Don't want to miss it. Alright, this is where the fun really begins. It's so fun. The nice thing about a fully rigid bike on this stuff is when you pump, you get all the pump. There's no suspension absorbing it up. sweet. So punchy climbs. So I was watching a GMBN video recently, and I think it was Blake Sampson that talked about why pedal when you can pump. And like, this is a perfect example here. There's certain stretches you can pedal, but all this little like rolly stuff, you don't need to pedal if you know how to pump, and you can maintain your speed. It's really fun. Off this rock. Yeah. Oh my gosh, this bike is so fun. Nice. Go over these rocks, hit this little rock slide. All right. Whew. And there it is. So there you have it. It is such a fun bike to ride. It's one of these things where, I mean, I like all three of my main mountain bikes. So I have the Esker Hayduke now in Thai with the carbon wheels. My Speedy Machine now needing a complete rebuild after the Schwamigan 40 in the mud, which is why you haven't seen a video from there, because it was just like insane. I didn't really get a chance to film anything because it was just a mud fest. Then I have my Rustler carbon full suspension bike. Love it, love it, love it. And then I get on my Lowside, and it is like being a kid again. When I was a kid, I used to rip around in this little like dirt oval thing on my Schwinn Stingray, and there was a little mound in there that I would kind of jump off of. And when I say kid, I'm talking like 8, 9, 10 years old, right? Even before I knew what BMX was. BMX existed, but I lived in the inner city. I just had no idea until I saw a magazine on some kid's counter. Someday I'll tell you that story. Won't get into too much detail, but whenever I'm riding my Lowside, it just reminds me of that kind of core root simplicity of just getting on a bike and riding it. So that's why I love it. Probably, like, there's just something about it. I don't know how to describe it any more than what I just did. It's just like, you don't have to think about anything. You don't have to think about shifting gears. You don't have to think about the air pressure in your shocks or your rebound setting or any of that. All you do is get on and ride it. And when you get to a hill, you stand up and crank up the hill. When you get to the downhill, you pump and flow, pump and flow. Like it's so simple, and I just love it. So I will be keeping that bike and riding single speed for as long as I can, and even with my knee replacement, it's fine. It doesn't, I mean, it seems fine so far anyway. So there you have it. I really appreciate your support for my channel. Please like and subscribe. Peace.